is the Rangers Journal now.
Good evening and welcome to Monday's edition of the Rangers Journal, where we're going to be reviewing the game from the weekend against Ross County, which we won 6-0 at Hampden, which will hopefully be our last game there. I'm joined tonight on the pod by Billy. How you doing, Billy? Okay, mate?
I'm good, Tomo. Yeah, it's been a good weekend for us. So yeah, looking forward to talking about it.
Yeah, been a bit of a positive one, hasn't it? And it makes a bit of a change to be looking forward to talk about what we done at the weekend. I'm also joined by Doug. How are you this evening, Doug? You okay?
Yeah, very good. This weekend was one of my rare outings to the game, so I picked a good one to go to. So yeah, I'm very happy.
Excellent. And we're also with Dave. How are you this evening, Dave? You okay?
Hiya, Tomo. Yeah, all good. Said on the reaction pod, it's nice to have something positive to talk about.
Yeah, and also we get into sort of the last week now of the transfer window, so there's going to be some pods during this week, and I'm sure there'll be some conversations about comings and goings, but again, that'll be for another evening. So we'll start off, Billy. The team was announced on Saturday. I think it was all pretty much what we expected, apart from maybe one or two who started. Was the starting lineup a bit of a surprise to you? I mean, I'll go through it. There was Butland, Tavernier, Suter, Balogun, Yefte at the back, and you had Connor Barron in midfield with Dujon Sterling, Tom Lawrence just ahead of him, and then out wide you had Matondo, Tierney, and up front Dessers. So yeah, Billy, what was your thoughts when you first saw the team sheet coming out?
Well, not surprised that Robin Proper wasn't playing, because I thought they would manageably give him another week to kind of recover from the injury he got the previous game. Was it St Johnstone game? Was a bit. I was happy to see Dujon Sterling in midfield. A little bit unhappy to see Tom Lawrence, because if that's the manager's plan for next week, I don't think Tom Lawrence has the legs to chase his name's McGregor around Celtic Park, and we could end up giving him free rein like he seems to always get there. But we don't know yet. Could just have been a player for this week. So Lawrence was the only one I was maybe like, oh, rather we had someone else. I'd rather Diamandi was playing further forward. Yeah,
I mean, I personally thought it was a bit of a surprise that Diamandi wasn't in the squad. In the starting lineup. He he's had a bit of a mixed start to the start of the season, but I don't think he's been terrible. Doug, yourself, was there any surprises in that team, or did you think that was the right team, something you were expecting?
Yeah, I think on the whole right now the team largely picks itself. I think the only surprise for me was the omission of Diamandi, but I can see why. I can see why you would take him out for Sterling, to get Sterling more minutes ahead of next week's game, and maybe just wanted to give Diamandi a bit of a rest. But I mean, I think like most, I'd probably have preferred Diamandi playing in place of Lawrence. But yeah, I think right now, until we get a few more bodies in, as I say, the team largely kind of picks itself most of the way.
Yeah, and same to you, Dave. What was your thoughts on that starting lineup?
Yeah, just exactly the same as the other guys, to be honest, Tomo. Bit surprised Dio didn't start. As Doug's alluded to, I can kind of see why. He probably did need a rest. I think Lawrence, to be honest, that's the kind of game I would want to see Lawrence starting. Fully with you, bit nervous about him going to Parkhead, but certainly for the likes of Ross County, that for me is the prime time to utilise him. So yeah, the only real shock was probably Dio on the bench.
Yeah, and I think I agree with what you guys are saying. We've done a pod on the night before, the Friday, about players that have come in and what to expect from them, and we praised Diamandi quite a bit, and then Saturday comes and he's on the bench, so that was a bit of a surprise. But as the game started, we started on the front foot, and people will say, "Oh, it's Ross County at home. You should be doing this, you should be doing that." But even last season against them, we struggled. we beat them 2-0 at Ibrox after the new year, and it should have been about 8 or 9. Just didn't take our chances, but we started the game well. What was your thoughts that first 15, 20 minutes, Billy, on how we started, and were you encouraged by the sort of style of play that we were looking to get at?
Yeah, I was a little disappointed we didn't get the opening goal a little bit earlier, because I felt we probably deserved it. It was all kind of one-way traffic, wasn't it? So, yeah, it was nice to start to see like a style coming out now in the play, because we've been critical in the past that the manager hasn't really set out what his exact style is, but you can see it's starting to form now. You know, the pace of getting the ball forward seems to have improved, and that's probably down to getting the players in that he wants to, you know, use to implement that style of play. But you know, the opening section, they were kind of camped in the box, weren't they? It was all really us. I think we've got a kind of map of how the game went that we can have a look at in a wee bit, but I think that kind of shows that to be the case as well. So yeah, good, bright opening start. I'd like to just get a goal a wee bit earlier than we do.
Yeah, no, and Doug, that first goal came in the 18th minute. Now you said you were at the game, so I don't know what your view was, but that first goal came 18 minutes from Cyril Dessers, and for me it was I just like the sort of simplicity of the goal. Jeffy getting the ball, getting forward, and then it was a really good turn from Lawrence to get away from his his marker, and then slip it into Dessers, who just stuck it in the net. What was your view of that, Doug?
Yeah, luckily I had a beautiful view for that when I was just on the east side, right on the corner, section F, for anyone who knows specifically where it is, just where the corner meets the other stand. So it was right on my side as well. So it was a perfect view. And yeah, like you said, I thought, you know, it was just a nice sort of. It was a good goal, but from Des's point of view, he sort of kept it simple. He seems to be. There's a lad, maybe a row or two behind me, that I heard at one point not too long after going, he's just smashing them now, isn't he? And I kind of feel he's a wee bit right, and he does seem to just be, when he gets himself into a position, he's just kind of hitting the ball a little bit truer than he has been in the past, and that's you know, getting him lucky. He's obviously getting goals in. And yeah, like I agree with Billy. You know, I thought we started brightly, and you know, we had a couple of chances that I thought. You know, we could have scored in to get that goal a bit earlier, but ultimately they sort of came at reasonably good times. Obviously, that one came kind of middle of the first half, and then obviously we'll get on to the next one just before the second half. But yeah, it was a good start for Dessers on what I thought was a good game for him overall.
Yeah, and Dave, just on that first goal and Lawrence's involvement, Dessers scored obviously 2 players that have come in for a fair bit of criticism, and I'll hold my hands up. I've been critical of Tom Lawrence, but what was your view on that passage of play, and was that something that you've been looking for us to do? You know, getting the ball forward quicker. Is that something that you're happy to be seeing now?
Yeah, it absolutely is, mate. I think even before Clement, you know, there's been an accusation that we've sometimes been ponderous in the build-up play. Seeing it come to light, and you know, you're highlighting the speed that we're getting it forward. I think you see the kind of impact of Jeff Day on the flank there. He is very, very good at progressing that ball very quickly, specifically on the goal. Yep, exactly what I want to see. I think with Lawrence, we all know that his technical ability's there. It's probably more the legs, I think, that worry most people. That to me is just an insight what he can bring, and that's why I think probably, you know, games against the likes of Ross County, it's probably where we should be utilising him, where he has got a little bit more time just to show his technical ability. Dessers, yep, great finish, and I think Doug's friend 2 rows behind him is absolutely bang on. I think that for me is the difference. Last season, we'd quite often see him. It was almost like he had too much time to think about it half the time. And that's when it seemed to go horribly wrong, and you got the 5 chop backs, etc. This season, there is very much an inclination just to get into the box, get the shot in, and I think we're starting to see the fruits of that, to be honest, mate.
Yeah, no, totally agree there. When he first got the ball, I was expecting him to take another 2 or 3 touches, but he took 1 touch and then it was in the back of the net. And then going on from that, we probably should have had a second couple of minutes later when, again, some really quick, good build-up play. I think it was into Dessers, and he's played in Tom Lawrence, who has unfortunately put the ball just wide. Doug, there was a couple in that first half where we did get the ball forward really quick and we were real danger. Did it feel like, though, that it was going to be one of those games where, we get 1 goal, we ponder, and then maybe get a second goal late on, or we're hanging on at the end? What was your feelings? Did you think we're going to get a lot more here, or it's going to be one of those days again?
No, I kind of felt a bit better. I can't say I thought we were going to be getting 6, but the quality of the shots that we were getting seemed a bit better. A lot of times before, when we have been ponderous and when we have struggled, we haven't really gotten a good quality of shot off, or even the step before that, the last ball has been what's poor. Whereas this game, I thought, we were really getting in and getting good chances. Like you say, Lawrence, I didn't realise that at the time of the game until I watched it back, but I thought he just put it wide, but he hits the post. So he's like literally inches away. You had, I can't remember if it was just before or just after, Matondo had a chance as well when he hits the crossbar. So it was literally, inches away that we were from scoring. So I felt like there were definitely going to be more goals in the game. And other than, in between, there was 1 county breakaway, which I think ends up being their only shot on goal come the end of the game. We looked really comfortable as well. So, I did think we were, in my head, I was kind of thinking maybe, 3-0, 4-0, but obviously we went on and did a little bit more.
Yeah. And just on that, Billy, the defensive side of things, again, we've got to take into who the opposition were, but defensively as a team, we looked a little bit more of a unit from back to front. The pressing seemed to be more aligned. Balogun and Suter at the back had one of their probably easier days. But what did you think of the team as a whole defensively? Does it look like that side of the game is coming together?
I'm probably going to go against what you're saying there, Tomo, because I was quite worried that twice they actually broke on us. The first time, I think, was maybe before the first goal, and we were attacking, and then within 5 seconds, they're up. They went right through the middle of midfield, and they get a shot on goal. I don't know if it's on target. The one Doug's talking about, in between the first and second goal, again, they just break. We have the ball in their half, and then all of a sudden they've cut right through the middle of us. A better team will punish us for that. So I know we'll probably touch on the transfer market. There's still an area of that midfield that's too open, and I'm not even really blaming the centre halves here. They ended up dealing with it in the end, I guess. But no, we look a bit too easy to cut open, and if Ross County are doing it to us, I'm a wee bit worried for next week.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Dave, any thoughts on that?
Yeah. I don't think he's wrong, to be honest. It is one of these. So, I mean, yes, they cut through us. I think it's fair to say, with the greatest of respect, County aren't our biggest worry. They didn't capitalise on it. There's quite a lot of hoofs up the park as well. Just after kickoff and stuff, they were just trying to get it up right around our box. I think a better team potentially does punish one of those chances. It's maybe just something to try and tighten up. I noticed, and again, I'm sure we'll come on to it, but we were being a bit fly with Tavernier and Sterling, and they were kind of rotating. And I don't know if there's just maybe something in there that we need to pick up on the defensive aspect that kind of tightens that up. Because, yeah, we were certainly cut through. I don't think we can deny that. Didn't look like the game was ever in doubt, but let's face it, I think it was 2 shots on target, and I know one of those Butland did make a very good save on. So, it's not danger in that game. Certainly something to be aware of when we're playing better opposition.
So as we get on through the half, it looks like it's going to be 1-0 going into half time. And then Matondo pops up, good cross from Tavernier from the right. Matondo's in, makes a great run across the defenders and gets a header in, makes it 2-0. Billy, Matondo, what did you make of his performance? And obviously there's been rumours of him exiting the club this last week. What did you make of his performance? And, you know, is it worth keeping him around, or do you think that time's passed?
He's had a good couple of weeks. He's had a good kind of partnership with Jeffrey as well. I thought his performance on Saturday was maybe one of his best. I mean, I know he's had individual moments where he scored the goal against Hibs, the goal against Celtic, but I think consistently he was a threat during the game. I mean, he as Doug said, I think he hit the bar earlier on in the game. I want to go back to because that cross by Tav, he's been overhitting him a little bit recently, and I don't know if it's a confidence thing with him, but that was perfect. Straight to Matondo and a really good finish from him. But on a whole, I mean, was it 2 goals and was it 1 assist, 2 assists they got? Whatever it was. For the weekend.
I think he got 2 assists, didn't he?
Yeah.
I think he got 2.
It's what we need from him. His problem has always been, can he do it consistently? And if he can, then that'll be great to have him around. There is, I know we're hearing links to, well, I guess Leeds United being mentioned, Blackburn Rovers being mentioned. If he goes, I hope we've got someone lined up who's going to be able to come in and be a first team player, not someone who's going to need a few weeks to get going and in and out the team and injury prone like he's kind of been a wee bit. It's been disappointing because when he signed, I felt that was a good prospect signing, but he's just never really done it for a long, 2-3 month stint of being, never out the side. But his performance at the weekend, I think, is one of his best. He did really well.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you there, Billy. I'll come to you, Doug, regarding Matondo. Cortez is obviously out injured. If we were to sell Matondo, we'd need to be looking to get someone in. Is it a case with Matondo? My opinion of it has always been he never really utilises his pace. He instead of doing what he's just good at, getting the ball, going past the player, he tries to overcomplicate things. Watching him from the stands on Saturday, was that more noticeable that he was just being direct? Because certainly watching on the telly, he looked like he was certainly just being direct, getting the ball and going at the defender. Was that more noticeable to you, Doug?
Yeah, I think you can kind of make some parallels with Matondo to Dessers in the way that they got that ability to occasionally just overcomplicate it. And he did do it a couple of times in the game. He tried chopping and he would cut in and try and chop and a little bit and maybe lose the ball. So I mean, it's still there a little bit, but he gets his best when he is, like you say, when he is just direct, when he utilises what he has. He can cut in past the player. It's just when he tries to add the second or third. And like say overcomplicating it a bit. So I think we can get joy out of him if Clement can just sort of teach him to just be a bit more direct, keep it simple, and like you're saying, utilize what you're best at, and we can get something out of it. He's never had any really, really long stretches in the team, but he has had sort of chunks, but they're often like coming on and off the bench and things like that. So I would be interested to see how he can do if he gets his confidence up. He gets a bit of running of games and see if he can pull a little bit off. Because I mean, the goal he does there was really good. He's sort of just languishing around the penalty spot until just before I think it's Diomande knocks it back to Tavernier, and then he just like totally ghosts in behind because he's got 2 defenders in front of him, not just the one, and he just totally sneaks in right behind them both for the finish. So. There are attributes there, but like you said, it's been that consistency, which has been the problem with quite a lot of our wingers over the last couple of years, is can we get that out of him more often than not?
Yeah, and Dave, we've obviously brought Yefty in. He's playing left back. Him and Matondo, we've only played a couple of games together, but we seem to have struck up a decent little partnership there. Do you think Yefty coming in is helping Matondo in a way. He certainly seems a lot more attacking than what Ridvan is. But is he taking away defenders' focus, giving Matondo a bit more space, or do you think it's just a confidence thing with Matondo and he's just going for it?
Yeah, I think it's both, mate. So, I mean, certainly as far as Matondo himself goes, as the guys have already alluded to, he's almost stripping it back to basics. He's kind of simplified what he's trying to do. And I think, again, much as I said about Dessers, I think that's been an issue with Matondo's game, is almost he's tried to overthink it, tried to be too clever. Now he seems to be just a bit more hitting the pace, off he goes. And I think that'll pay dividends for him. I think Yefte probably has had an impact as well. And I think it's worth calling out. Yefte seems really, really good at striking up kind of link up play with whoever's on that flank. He's done it with Cortez, all right, smaller time, but he's done it with Fraser as well. He seems to have a natural ability to link in with whoever is playing in front of him, or even behind him when he's been playing further up the pitch. So I think both of them have had an impact. The fact the two of them emerged together, again, we're seeing the benefit, but it is worth calling out. It was Ross County, and to be blunt, they're going to face a very, very different test next week. It's not all going to be about the offensive side, and it'll be interesting, I think, to see exactly how, because, barring anything kind of major, I wouldn't be surprised if there are two starting at the weekend. And I think it'll be really interesting to see how that works on a defensive footing, because that'll be a bit of a window into what a potential Europa campaign is going to look like as well.
Yeah, and I just want to touch Billy as well. On the other side, Tavernier and Cherney. What did you make of their sort of performance together? Cherney certainly looks like he's getting fitter now, and I think that'll be his. That right hand spot will be his until he gets injured or however it may be. How do you think those two got on playing with each other? And again, do you see that paying dividends going forward?
Yeah, I mean, it's Tav started slow this season. There's no kind of getting away with it. I feel that he is slowly getting, not back to his best, but he's slowly getting a bit better and playing a few more games with Cherney. They're developing a little bit of a rapport with each other. Cherney, I mean, he's come in and he's been, I guess he's made such a big impact to the team. He gets at least one assist that I can remember from the weekend across in for Matondo's second goal, I think.
Yeah.
And so he's providing these chances, and I've really liked him as he's come in. Tav, I don't really know if they've. I don't know if it's not as was certainly not as a symbiotic relationship that Jeffrey's made with the people that he's played with on the left. So is it fully working? Not fully for me, but it's all right. It's as I said, Dejon Sterling was kind of covering for him. I think was that Doug or Dave? Sorry, one of you brought that up. Allowing to have to go forward a wee bit, obviously puts in that cross for the second goal. That I'm not fully convinced that he's going to be that it's working fully at the moment. Not to say that it won't come, but it just seems to be a bit. I don't mean he's towing a caravan or anything, but it's just not the same as we've been kind of used to him in the past.
Yeah, I mean, noticed Tav Doug was coming inside a lot more, and as been mentioned, Sterling filling in for him. Is that something you're a fan of, letting Tav just basically wander about, or would you rather he be, more rigid at the back down that right hand side?
Well, I don't know if I call it wandering about per se, but I think it is a very particular tactic, because it's been very noticeable. I picked it up a couple of times in the Motherwell game as well, and as I say, it was very clear here. And it's not just Tav though. Philip seems to have very much a thing about inverting his wide players, and you saw that like later on in the game when we finished with McCausland on the left, which is obviously he tends to play right before, and then he had Fraser playing on the right side. So that allows both of them to be cutting in on their stronger feet. And I think it looks like we're trying to utilise Tav in a slightly more controlled way. So one of Tav's strengths has always been finding space and seeing the game in front of him, and that was why he was just so good at finding that back post. And he's gotten so many goals over the year by running into the space at the back post that was being left. And I think, to me, I think what they're trying to do is to use that by having him as a sort of an overloaded player in that sort of 8 to 10 area, because he's obviously got the technical skill, but is maybe starting to wane in terms of the physical side of things. So rather than him being the up and down marauding player of the past, I think he's trying to use him a little bit more smartly to get him into spaces where he can make triangles with other players. He does that in the Motherwell game with Cherney. They sort of rotate around one another, and the ball moves around the two of them before getting out to Tav on the wing for a cross that eventually I think got to Sterling, but didn't lead to much. And you see that a lot happening in this game. Tav ended up at one point in the first half in the middle to what I thought was going to be a shooter goal until the ball seemed to weirdly go off at an angle. But yeah, it's an interesting tactic. I think we can get good out of that as long as the cover's maintained. But we seem to be doing that really well. I mean, that was the big thing that in the last couple of years was failing slightly. We were still having Tav pushed up, but the cover wasn't working as well. And that was a lot of the time where a lot of the gaps were then happening. But Barron and Sterling are both really good at that covering, and they've both been doing it really strongly. And Barron's been doing it on the left side as well when Jeffrey's pushed forward. And I think the relationships that develop between the fullbacks and the wingers are going to be really important this year in terms of making all of these sort of fluid movements work. Because if you think when did we last have a really strong sort of side that wasn't sort of just Tavernier? And that was, I think, Barisic and Kent, who played together week in, week out. And so we're really good at playing together and overlapping and doing stuff and covering. But since sort of Kent left and then Barisic was going in and out the side, we've not had a lot of strong partnerships sort of up the wings. And I think that's something that we can hopefully see this year. If Jeffrey plays a lot, if Matondo plays more often, because I think that's an important thing that we talked about it last year. Because of injury, players didn't get the chance to play together, so they're not getting to form partnerships. And I think that's something that hopefully, if injuries, and the touch wood, because we've already had about 8 injuries already this year season, but if we can get players playing more often together, and in particular get these kind of relationships going, then we will see better things from the team.
Yeah, and I don't know if that was part of your point you wanted to make about wingers, but was there another point you wanted to make about wingers, or was that it, Doug?
No, that was it. It was the thing about the relationships that I just wanted to bring up. That's to say, I think that's something we've not seen, that touching on what people have said about Jeffrey being able to do that quite quickly. I think that's a real bonus in a player, to have someone that can come in and really quickly strike up those kind of relationships.
Yeah, most definitely. So Dave got into the second half, and it was about 6-7 minutes into the second half when the third goal arrived. That was again Desser's got the third one, was it? Yeah, Desser's got the third one again. What did you make of the overall play and sort of leading up to the goal, and then obviously Desser's finishing again?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good finish. I'll put my hands up. I've slated Dessers in the past. I'm pretty sure most of us have, but right now, that's what he's bringing to the team. 5 goals in 6 games. He's doing the business for us. I think what was really interesting for me is a lot of the time in the past, we would have dropped back maybe 10 yards, been a bit more ponderous in our build-up, worrying more about seeing out that game. I think that third goal, and as we carried on, it kind of signaled that actually we were going to stay hungry. We were going to keep going for it. We wanted to finish the game in style, and I think that more than anything is probably a real positive for me.
Yeah, so I'll come to Billy, just staying on that point there. We've seen it a lot over the last couple of seasons where we get a goal or two up and we just seem to sit back and be happy with our lot. That certainly wasn't the case second half on Saturday. Again, were you happy to see the team just keep going rather than just accepting a 2-0 win? Job done. Or do you think, should maybe be saving a little bit in the tanks for next week? Me personally, I'm really happy to see the way they're playing and going and trying to rack up as many goals as they can. But what's your view of that, Billy?
I don't think we've really had that kind of mindset since Gerrard was here, have we? Because it's been like we go a couple of goals up and accept it, or we go a couple of goals up and then the team get a goal back, and then the last 10 minutes you're panicking and holding on. So we've not really been as kind of ruthless as that. So no, I'm all for it. I hate when you go to a game and you're there and it's maybe 3-0 up at half time and you're like, okay, there's going to be another few goals in the second half, and then it ends up just petering out to be no goals in the second half. So no, I'm happy that we did it. I want to bring up because Doug mentioned Matondo using his pace for this goal. He does. He just kind of puts the afterburners on and goes by 2 or 3 players and puts the cross in right to where the danger area, right in front of the goalkeeper, and Dessers is there to finish. So I think it was just a good goal overall, and I'm glad we did come out because it's different if you're playing a team and you're 1-0, or you're playing a Ross County, friends, or another SPFL team, and you're 1-0 up or 2-0 up. They players still think they could get something out of that, so they're still trying a lot harder. Once you go 4 goals up, it's then they know it's done, and you get to kind of enjoy it a wee bit more. And I'm glad that we kept the pressure on, because I think, again, still Ross County, but I feel a lot better about going into next week having scored 6 goals and got a clean sheet than it would be if we just got a 1 or 2 win against them, Tomo. So, very happy that they gave us a game that we can be. Proud's not the right word, because we've got to remember it still is Ross County, but just good to get that amount of goals, because we don't score 6 goals very often. What was the last time? Motherwell away, 6-1 game, I think.
So, yeah, 6-1, yeah.
So that's been a while since we've scored that that amount of goals. It seems recently it has just been 1 or 2 nothings or 1 or 2 goal wins. So not really good to get it.
So before we go on to the other goals, Doug, I'll just come to you about Dessers. He scored 5 goals in basically 5.5 games, because he came on, I think, half time against St Johnstone. So 5 goals so far this season. If we get to the end of the transfer window on Friday and Dessers is still our main striker, are you happy with that, Doug?
Yes and no. I think in terms of Dessers in and of himself, yes. I've always thought he did a good job last season, despite having failures in areas of improvement, because you don't score 20 odd goals and be rubbish. You just don't. He did have clear areas for improvement though, and I think or obviously it's still early days, but it appears like he has worked on them and he has made some improvements. I did sort of fight his corner to say that I always feel like a player can be better in the second season, regardless of, like, a lot of people talked about his age and say, oh, he can't get any better. But you can still improve just from the fact you were in a new league and against a different type of play. He's played most of his career in leagues where you get a lot of time and space to probably do all the cutbacks he was trying to do. And he's had to learn in Scotland he's not going to get that time, because players will be on him and they'll just crunch him, and that'll be that. So hopefully he's picked up on those things and he's going to be more effective. A lot of people have talked about worrying about the idea of him going in to the upcoming game because of the missed chances. And he might only get one shot and he needs to score. On his last game against Celtic, he only had 1 shot. He scored it. The game before that, he only had 2 shots. And he scored one of them, which was unfortunately cut off because of the free kick given much further down the pitch. That wasn't his fault. So there are signs there that I think he can do a job. The no part is that I'm just concerned as to, I still want us to have more in up front overall, because we can't rely on him completely, because there is still that chance that maybe he doesn't fix it all and he does still miss a lot of key chances. Or even worse, some people have started to click to the fact that just before the European second leg of the European games, that if he got injured, we've got nothing. So, that's one of the, obviously we'll come to it later tonight, but I'm super happy to see Dessers get more minutes in that. Danilo get more minutes and a goal in this game as well, because I want to see him come back up. We've obviously got Igamani to come in, but that's the other concern, is that I would like us still to get someone else in, just because we can't go a whole season relying just on him, the same way that we should have been going for the last 5, 6, 7 seasons relying on James Tavernier. We can't make the same mistake again of having one person scoring all the goals. Hopefully that's not going to be the case based on this game. We've got goals from all over the place, but that would be the one thing I'd still be concerned about.
Yeah, no, definitely make some good points there, Doug. We then go on and score a fourth again. It was Matondo, I think. Yeah, got the fourth. Cross from Cherney, and he's ghosted in. Dave, what did you think of the goal? What did you think of the play? And obviously Cherney's involvement and Matondo's overall movement to get in there again and get, be hungry for a goal.
Yeah, so just picking up on Cherney first. That boy is class. His eye for a pass is something else. There was another one actually in the game, and it was almost a copy of the one he did before he split the defence. And fair play, Dessers didn't get on that one, so it didn't come to anything. But again, just the vision to see that pass and slot it through was something else. Specifically on Matondo, to be blunt, this is exactly what we want from him. We want him driving into the box. We want him arriving, taking his chances. It doesn't have to be fancy. We don't need 20 step overs like he used to get from Ryan Kent. We just need someone arriving at the right time that can slot the ball away. And I think he did that. And again, a bit like Dessers, you can have an opinion based on what's come before, and I'm pretty sure everyone does. But all we can actually judge them on is what they're doing right now. And in that game, certainly Matondo did all the things right.
Yeah. As I say, I was impressed by his desire to get into the box and win it and get the ball, get the shot towards goal. I don't think we've seen enough of that over the last couple of seasons, where people are breaking their necks to get into the box. Again, Billy, we've touched a bit on Matondo's performance. The fifth goal is scored by Tom Lawrence, and as I say, I've given criticism in the past, but I genuinely thought he had a really good game on Saturday. And the fifth goal was probably my favourite goal of the game because of the simplicity of it all. Tavernier won it up by the corner flag, ball up to Dessers, who's held it up, gave it to Matondo, who's then got the ball through to Lawrence, who's making the late run in, and he's put the ball away. And I think that was my favourite, because when I've criticised Dessers in the past, it's because of his hold-up play, outside of the box link-up play, and it was excellent. And then Matondo just done what he had to do. He went past players using his speed and got the ball into Lawrence. What was your thoughts on Lawrence's goal, and obviously his performance after what has to be said has been a real lacklustre start to the season for him?
I guess Lawrence in particular over the weekend, I didn't really notice him much, so I can't say that I thought he had a great performance like you're saying. But just going back to the hold up play of Dessers, if I can, mate, that's what we're needing to see from him. And also he chooses the right time to lay it off to Matondo, and then Matondo does breaks through and then plays a really nice pass straight to Tom Lawrence's feet for him just to slot the ball away. It's a really good finish. Composed finish, which you seen him do. That was at the Berlin game that he did a kind of similar goal where he slots it away. I think it might be that game, but I understand that Dave earlier on was saying that this is the type of game you want him, Lawrence, to be playing in, and I know what you mean, Dave, and I do agree. I was maybe hoping to see the lineup would maybe start next week so that they could get another chance at more time playing together. But it's totally agree. It's fine for someone like Lawrence to play. I didn't think he's, the lack of legs that he's been accused of, or not been accused of. You can't really deny it. He's not got that part of his game, but it wasn't really noticeable the weekend because he just seemed to do the easy things or the right things or the simplistic things. And I think Doug's brought it up with Matondo as well, and Dessers just, maybe it's coming from the manager to cut out all these unnecessary little, I say step overs or putting it back between your legs or feet, sorry, and maybe making the wrong choice for that goal, especially. Every single player involved, Tavernier, Dessers, Matondo and Lawrence, all do exactly what they needed to do, and it's actually it's kind of the simplest thing, and that's how we get the goal from it. So yeah, good goal, good finish. Just Lawrence, maybe I'm just in a kind of downer with him at the moment, so I maybe not notice. I didn't notice him too much at the weekend. That's all I would say, Tom. I know you were saying you thought he had a good game. He probably did. Just he wasn't the one that came to my attention the most.
Yeah, no, I certainly wouldn't say he was man of the match or anything like that. But I noticed a couple of times he's tracking back. He made one tracking back with one of their players, and he slid in, won the ball. And we've not really been seeing that from him this season. It's like we've been, a man short at times when we've been defending, and the midfield too have been overrun. But I felt he really sort of came onto a game in terms of that and helped the team out on Saturday. As I say, I don't think he's the answer going forward, and I'd be surprised if he starts next Sunday. But I thought he showed us a little bit there that, as Dave said, against these types of teams, he'd be worth playing against, because we're going to need the squad over the season, especially for Europa League games. So, Doug, we'll come to the final goal. Nice to see Danilo get a decent amount of minutes on the pitch. There was all rumours circulating about him a couple of weeks ago. How injured is he? Why is he not getting off the bench? So he got about 15, 20 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. And his goal, you could say there was an element of luck to it and the way it came to him, but he took it well. And, sometimes, especially as a striker, you just need that. You just need sometimes a ball to just fall to you, especially if you've been out for injured or you've been out of the team for a length of time. What did you make of Danilo's time on the pitch on Saturday, Doug?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I mean, just before his goal, he got another chance. Not too dissimilar situation. The county defender just probably loses the ball and it drops to his feet, and he sort of tried a curl into the top corner. Keeper made a decent save. And then it's kind of slightly farcical, and I'll give the defender the benefit of the doubt. Unfortunate clearance where he just sort of kicks off his pal's arse, and it drops to Danilo. But he's quick. He's quick on the draw. It's the type of thing that I think he was maybe missing slightly in the first game, or in the previous game. Sorry, when we saw him. That little bit of sharpness to just poke his foot out and knock it under the keeper. So it was a good wee goal, and you saw what it meant to him as well afterwards. He kind of broke down at the side of the pitch, his hands in his head in his hands. Sorry. He's a really likable character, Danilo. He kind of reminds me of Sakala a little bit. He's always smiling. He's always positive. So I'm really pleased to see him getting back to fitness and getting minutes, getting goals for that reason as well. But also because obviously, as I said before, we need him to be fit to give us options, and it seems to be going well. So I'm just hopeful that continues. The only downside that we have perhaps is that obviously if Dessers continues doing as well as he's doing, that will naturally limit Danilo's time. But hopefully, one of the reasons we touched earlier about scoring more goals, if you can get yourself 4-0 up after an hour, then you can go and make a bunch of changes because you've got that sort of more confident grip of the game, and you can bring people like Danilo on, get them the minutes they need to get them match fit and to get them to the point where they can contribute in fully. Yeah,
and just on that, Dave, we McCausland came on, Robbie Fraser came on. So as Doug has made the point of getting so many goals up after an hour, gives those players a chance to get on the pitch. And what we've got to remember about Danilo is we spent 6 million on him. He's not some young kid who's just come in and we're see what happens. This is someone we probably expect a lot of. Do you now see him starting to get more minutes as the weeks go on, and really challenging Dessers for that number 9 shirt, or do you think there'll be another place in the team for him, maybe out wide, maybe even in the number 10 role?
No, I think it is very much a case of challenging Dessers, and I think in order to do that, he needs the minutes. I think, it was Curry has commented there. He didn't think he was in the game much, in and around his goal. I'd actually tend to agree with that. I thought for large parts it kind of maybe passed him by a bit, but the fact that he got that goal for me is vital. And to be honest, I don't really care how he got it. I think after being out that long, there's probably a mental aspect involved as well. And I think that's where the celebration that Doug was talking about came from. The fact that he has been out for so long, that is his first goal back. So for me, I think, 6 million on a striker, as you say, we're not, this isn't a punt. That's a serious amount of money for us. And we need him to be challenging Dessers, especially as the season progresses. You go into October, November, you're going to be League Europa with a few cup games in about that. You need both of them actually up and firing, I think. And that's before we get into any potential injuries that, let's face it, either of them could pick up at any time. So for me, very much a striker. And I just hope that, getting over the hump of getting that first goal actually unlocks a bit more from him now, because he has been off it, right? You don't want to badmouth the guy. He's been out for, God's a year, but he has been off it when he's played, and that's understandable. Now it's just a case of getting the minutes into the legs so that he's in a position to properly challenge Dessers.
Yeah. The only sort of downside, I suppose, on Saturday was Balogun going off with an injury. So I don't know what the injury is or how bad it is. But again, we had Sterling showing his versatility, slotting into centre back and again looking comfortable there. Billy, I know you've got some slides to show just regarding our dominance of the game, really. If you're able to just put them up. So this slide here is obviously the attacking phases for each team, and as you can see, the green is Rangers, the blue Ross County, and I think it just shows how dominant we actually were in the game on Saturday. Doug, I'll come to you because it will hopefully be our last game at Hampden. Hopefully we'll be back in Ibrox by the next time we play. What was your experience of Hampden and the crowds and the atmosphere? How did it compare to what you used to at Ibrox?
Well, the seats that I usually get at Ibrox that my friend has have an absolute crap ton of stairs, which Hampden did not have. So that was I very much enjoyed the lack of stairs getting up to the seat I had. But I mean, really, there's no comparison. I mean, people know the problems that Hampden has. It's a big open bowl, and the sound just kind of evaporates out of it. So you just don't get that same. I mean, it wasn't really the game for a big raucous atmosphere, to be fair. But even when like the cheers are up and things like that, I was at the opposite side from the Union Bears, and I can hardly hear. I could sort of in my periphery, I can hear the drums and that going, but you can hear it much better when you're in Ibrox, the smaller space and the tighter group. So, I said at the beginning that I didn't think not being in Ibrox was, apart from the 2 European games, I didn't think being away from Ibrox was going to affect us too badly. But I thought that the bigger issue would be how it would affect the opponents, because that's where Ibrox really shines and has shined in Europe. We had the the Dortmund coach said it, as did the Red Star coach, and the Leipzig coach all said, that they'd read about it in advance, they prepped for it, but that being in it was not the same, and that they all thought it had affected their teams. And that's what I think, for me, was the miss. It wasn't so much us. I thought it's how did it was the effect it would have on opponents. And luckily we got a reasonable draw of teams, I think, to start the season off, which helped a bit as well. But there's nothing like even for someone like me that doesn't get to go very often. There's nothing like it. And as much as it was nice to go to Hampden and I enjoyed the lack of stairs, I'll take being out of breath for the first 15 minutes any day of the week.
Yeah, no, good points, Doug. So Dave, just before we sort of wrap up, that's 3 league games in. We've played a game in the Cup and a couple of games in Europe. Where we were at the beginning of the season when we played Hearts to where we are now, how are you feeling now compared to at the beginning of the season? Are you a little bit more happier with where things are going, or have you still got a little bit of trepidation about what's coming up?
Yeah, I mean, obviously happier than when season kicked off. I think, everyone says it's pre-season, it doesn't matter, but it does. As fans, it puts that seed of doubt in your mind when you have a rubbish pre-season, and let's be honest, we did. The results just weren't there. Coming into the season, I think we've shown incremental progress each game. I didn't think we were great against Hearts. I mean, we were okay, but we weren't great. Bit better. So that's all grand. But let's be honest, next weekend defines pretty much where we are in this season. If we go there and we win, then, I'll be a lot happier. I'm pretty sure 90% of the fans will be an awful lot happier as well. If we were to go there and get slapped about, then I don't think anyone's going to be talking about a 6-0 win against County. So, like it or not, that is the game that is going to determine, for me and a lot of fans, where we think we're at.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair, Dave. And Billy, there's going to be a podcast, I think it's tomorrow night, regarding transfers. So, sort of just very quickly, this is the last week of the transfer window. What are you hoping to see from Rangers, incomings and or outgoings? What you want to see this week that will make you, be a bit more happier going into the rest of the season?
Well, Ben Davies is away, so I think we're going to definitely be probably bringing in a centre half. Would really like a proper brick wall defensive midfielder, and because I think we might bring in 3. I don't know if there'll be much more than that. It'd be great if there was 4 or 5, because I just don't think this isn't a squad that can win this league. I don't think. So I'm not saying it's not far away. It could be 2-3 first team starters that go right into the team could make all the difference. And just so if I'm going to go for 3, I don't think anything will change in the strikers unless someone comes in last minute for Dessers. I think that's probably what we'll go with Igaman, Danilo, and Dessers. So just another creative player in the final third. So centre half, centre mid, and probably a winger, knowing what Clement likes to play.
Yeah, and Doug, sort of really same sort of question to you. There's been rumours today about Leon King and Alex Lowry potentially going out on loan to English clubs. Looking at the bench on Saturday, it felt like it was really bereft of real sort of quality and experience, I would say, is a main thing there. What would be your wishes for this final week of the transfer window?
I think Alex Lowry should go on loan. I think that would be the best thing for him, to try and get himself some solid game time. I've said it already this season. I kind of feel like his chance for Rangers is over. So I'd like to see him go out, do well somewhere, and earn himself a move so he can play. King is probably the same. I talked last season about my disappointment that he didn't really get any game time. So I think he's still got the opportunity. He's still quite young, so he's still got the opportunity to potentially find his way into the team. He's apparently switched positions in the midfield now, having played, I think, at right back and defensive mid at various points. So, if that's a new start for him, then again, a loan move might be good for that, to help solidify and learn this, if that's his new position. And that could benefit us because midfield is an area we could use some more bodies in. So if he comes back after a loan spell, having tooled himself into centre mid, defensive mid, then that would be ideal, I think, and probably gives him a better chance of getting into the team. And just in general, I think goalkeeper is the only position that we don't categorically need. Is the only position that you wouldn't say absolutely don't need anyone. Every other position on the pitch, you would probably take someone. Maybe left back, we've got a few options there. And to quote Curry, he would like a right back, and another right back. I do think we need, if not for now, then certainly in the longer term, that's something to look for. But the key position with me would be that 10. I think that's if I was to see someone, if only one player come in, it would be a position there, and then maybe left wing after that.
I've got the funniest of feelings Curry isn't talking about a 2-year time project somewhere.
No, probably not. A 2-minute project would be.
So Dave, just finally on you, any of your wishes, anything you disagree with the boys with, or anything you'd like to see before this finishes?
I don't think we'll get them all, but my wish list would be a centre back, playmaking 6, and a 10. And I know there's debate about whether we should move to a flat 3, but I see no inclination that Clement plans to do that. And if we are going to persevere with the 10, I think we desperately need one in.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree, especially if the situation with Hadji doesn't improve and he leaves, whatever the situation is there. I think we will need someone else in that position. So it's been a pleasure again tonight, boys. Just before we go, Billy, any final thoughts? Anything you'd like to say before we wrap up?
Thank you everyone for commenting and watching and really being a part of the pod as well. Actually, what I do want to say is, I think I'm allowed to say it, we are going to be having a transfer window pod on Friday for any last minute signings coming in. I think quite a lot of the podders will be on at various times. I think it's 7:30, Doug, you might be able to confirm it, but all the way to the transfer window closes, we do have some special guests lined up, so we'll be joined by people from outside the Rangers Journal pod. So looking forward to that. Reminds me of the kind of charity one we did a few months back where people dropped in and out and we talked about various different things. So I think it'll be a similar thing to that. But other than that, mate, no, thank you very much for having me on, and thank you again everyone for watching.
Yeah, no, as always, thanks for coming on, Billy, and giving up your time. I think it's on Friday. I think it's 6:30. It's starting out on Friday. Yeah. So Doug, same to you, mate. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Just good to see, like Dave said, it's just good to be seeing the incremental improvements happening. We're getting better every game, and obviously that's still with players to come in. So I feel like the mood has shifted a little bit in this week, and in the week coming, it could shift even better, which would be a real positive. We sort of touched on it a little bit about scoring loads of goals. One of the things it does is give you confidence, which is obviously really important going into this game. And I think that was for me is a big reason why I want to see us keep going and scoring goals. It builds confidence. I guarantee last season when Celtic were smashing teams left, right, and centre, they were feeling great about themselves. We should be doing that as well. And going into a big game, there's nothing better than, even if it is obviously with all respect to them, just Ross County, and I think they had a bunch of injuries and things as well, to be honest. So even with that, getting a good amount of goals, getting confidence through the team, and getting positivity through the mood is exactly what we need going into this game. And so I'm actually looking forward to it rather than the potential dread that I think I might have been feeling with this 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. No, totally agree, Doug. And once again, thank you for giving up your time and coming on tonight. As always, it's been a pleasure. Thank you. And Dave, finally, any final thoughts from yourself, mate?
Yeah, just thanks for having me on. Thanks everyone that's commented. And Curry, you'll get your score prediction on the Friday preview, mate. Cheers, all.
Yeah. No, yeah, thanks very much, Dave. As you've mentioned there, and as Billy has mentioned, we've got Pod on Friday. It's going to be about the transfer, and then our weekly preview of the weekend's game, which I think next week we're playing someone. I can't remember who really, but I believe it might be a bit of a big game.
Team, isn't
So
it?
yeah, I say tomorrow night there's a transfer pod on, so please tune into that. And as always, thank you for tuning in. Get that like button smashed. Tell all your friends about us. Keep getting those subscribers up, and we will keep bringing out the content. As I say, thank you for getting involved. It's much appreciated. So on that, I will say, have a good evening, and every night is a Rangers Journal night.